Hi guys, I'm here with a project for the Kitaholic Kits design team, and I am working with one of the exclusive cut files that we got this month. This one is so pretty, I could not let it just sit there. I had to use it as soon as I saw it. So I cut it out, and as you can see, I've cut it out in 2 different sizes, and I'm using it in 2 different orientations. So this is flipped, what's the word? Along the vertical axis. So yeah, it's in 2 different orientations, and I want to back it. And to get that kind of natural variation of color that you get in nature, I'm going to try and use a bunch of different pinks in the flowers. Now, with this kit, we got some cut apart papers. I've already been using them for design team projects, so they're already a little bit cut up, but there's a bunch of different pinks sort of floating around in, this is good green for the leaves, but there's lots of different pinks sort of in here and in here and in here. So I want to use those to hopefully get a bunch of variation in color behind these flowers. So that's my goal. I'm gonna do some cutting and pasting and backing of this cut file, and we'll see how it turns out. So yeah, I'm going to put you on fast forward now.
So yeah, I'm just going to grab my mechanical pencil and I'm going to trace. I'm going to go inside each petal and cut around it and then erase the line, because I'm having to be so careful about where I put it to get the right colour inside the cut file showing. So I wanted to, normally I would do this on the back so you wouldn't have to erase the cut file, the pencil lines, but I need to be able to see it on the front because I'm fussy cutting these colours out. So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, I'm just tracing inside, erasing the line, and then I'll go ahead and adhere it to the back of the cut file, and then you'll see that pretty colour coming through. I won't make you watch me do this whole thing. I'm just going to just show you one petal so you can see the process. I have matte medium in my fine line bottle here, which you have the least residue showing when you use this compared to things like tacky glue and PVA glue. It's just, it dries invisible. So that works really well for me. So that's what that looks like.
Okay, so I'm this far in, and I think they look really lovely, but my favorite one is this big one here, which I cut from this Vicky Bouton paper, which was, yeah, really cool. So this middle part, oh my God, that looks like a penis. Really wobbly one. God, that's so awkward. Anyway, the other part of it is orange. So I want to make something that is a similar kind of painty texture, but that is not as bright and orange. So I'm actually going to paint some paper with watercolors and then cut that out for these last flowers. Because the other pink that I have is this one, which I love. It's so pretty. It's got this really like irregular little spot in it, and I think it's so gorgeous, and I want to save that for using in Project Life. So I'm not going to use that. I don't want to cut it into little bits for this. So I'm just going to yeah, make some using my watercolors. As I was looking for my watercolor paper, I found this bit floating around, so I'm actually just going to cut out of this one because that is easier. It's just the right tone and it has that painterly kind of quality that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to do that.
And this is what they look like now that they're done. I love these. I love that I was able to use the leaves on one of the patterned papers to back my own leaves, because it had like a lovely kind of streaky finish, and they look like the veins in the leaf, and it just gives it a lovely shape. So I'm really happy with how that looks. And I have this photo of Artie with his Oddmother, Josie, and I'm going to tuck that in amongst these flowers and sort of have it layered in there. So I'm going to put a white border around it because it kind of needs that to stand out against what is quite a busy background because of all of the petals and flowers and things that are in there. So yeah, I'm just putting a very narrow white border around it, and I'm going to trim carefully just this little bit here so that I'm able to lift that petal up and tuck the top of the photo underneath it. So that gives me just a bit more of a nestled kind of look, I think. And I really like that. And the petal doesn't cover anything important in the photo. It's actually just kind of part of the background gets covered, so that works really well. And I like the way that these two cut files layered together create a real depth. And I'm going to add to that by propping the top one, the big one, up on some cardboard to add further dimension to that. There was a little section, here's the cardboard now, there was a little section of that smaller one, you saw me just chop that off because it was going to get totally covered by the one on top, and I thought that would give me an extra leaf to then layer in later on if I wanted to, and I do end up putting that in later. You'll see that get added in. So there's the cardboard on the back. I use that instead of craft foam because it's free and it's not made of plastic, so it's a win-win for me. And yeah, so I've got that propped up nicely, and now I'm going to stick this carefully on here. I'm just using washi tape to make sure I get it where I want it, because that allows me to move it if I'm not happy with the placement. And I am happy with the placement, so those two are attached to each other now. And what I want to do is draw some really, really faint lines around the outside of this so that I can come in and just add to my background a little bit. I wasn't sure what the shape of this was going to be when I set out with it. I knew I wanted to use those two cut files, but that's as far as I got. So I didn't prepare a background or anything just yet. And now I'm doing that sort of after the fact, and that's just how it goes. Sometimes it feels a little bit backwards, but this way I'm able to get things exactly where I want them. So I'm grabbing my white gesso and I'm using my finger to just smudge it a little bit on the background. And what that does is just creates a little more separation between the background and the cut file when you're using a patterned paper like this. And I really like the tiny text on this background. I think it's really pretty, and I like that it's got a greenish kind of tinge to it. I think that adds to the botanical quality of the overall layout. So I'm really happy with that, but I just want it to stand out a little bit more against that, and it also gives it a bit more of a relaxed kind of painterly look as well, which I'm super into. So yeah, I'm going to add a little bit more layering by grabbing some tissue paper, scrunching it up, well, tearing it first and then scrunching it up, and I'm just going to put that in 3 different places underneath this kind of whole piece here. That really emphasizes the layered quality that it's already got. It sort of helps show the fact that some of these pieces are sort of layered higher than others. It helps soften the edges. Again, it sort of layers on top of that gesso and just kind of again adds further depth, I guess. I know I keep saying that, but that's what I'm going for here. I want that. I want it to feel soft and I want it to feel like layered. So I'm just grabbing that tissue paper. I don't think I've ever actually purchased tissue paper. I always just get it from when I buy something at a shop or online and it comes wrapped in tissue paper. It just goes in a drawer in my studio, and that has given me more than enough for every project I've ever done. So and also some of my friends know now to save their tissue paper and give it to me as well. So I've got stacks. It's not a thing that you need to ever really spend money on, in my experience. So yeah, this is the 3rd little piece. So I've put one on the left, one on the right, and then one's going at the top, a little to the left there. And I'm going to adhere that, just making sure it's the right shape. And I almost didn't do this, but I'm really glad I did. I think it really adds to the overall effect. This is tacky craft glue. It's when I know it's not going to be seen, I prefer to use this to the matte medium because it's way easier to get out of the fine line bottle. I have a bit of trouble getting I have to squeeze quite hard to get the matte medium out, so I only use that when I know that there's a chance that it might be seen from the front. But this isn't, and you can tell by the crazy way that I'm just lathering it all over the back there. And I'm going to stick that down. I love, love, love this. It's making me very happy. So I've got this other little leaf and I'm just trying to decide where it will look best. And I think I want to put it just there, but I want to just trim off the bits of the flower that were still attached. And I decided to put it over the top of the tissue paper instead of underneath it, which is what I did to begin with. And I love that. So then what I did was get very absorbed in the process and not pay attention to the fact that my camera cut out. So I'm sorry about that. But all I did here was add in some stickers from the sticker sheet that came with the kit. So there are those gold fronds, those little yellow flowers, and there were also those bigger leaves that aren't part of the cut file. They were also stickers from the sticker sheet that I just cut up. They were attached to a little daisy, and I chopped the flower off and just layered the leaves in there. So you didn't miss much. But yeah, that's part of getting absorbed in the process. I think sometimes you just forget that you're filming. That's what happened here. This is kind of my title and my journaling all in one. I just wrote Best Oddmother Ever, and I put that on there. I just did that with my typewriter. It's a vintage one. It's very old, so it's kind of, it leaves shadowy marks and it looks a bit uneven, and I love that about it. It's got a very imperfect kind of type, and that's exactly what I like. I'm adding in a few enamel dots. These didn't come with the kit. These are just from my stash, and a couple of epoxy hearts as well. I don't love the placement of the one that I put on the photo, but I know better than to try and get that off. So I'm just kind of making it look more intentional by putting a few little enamel dots around it. And that's the finished spread. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really, really hope you like the way this turned out. I love it. I love the pink. I love the layers. It just makes me happy. Make sure you check out Kitaholic Kits. I will link them below. Please also like and subscribe if you're so inclined. Otherwise, I'll see you again really soon. Bye.